So let us begin. Today is a special day. People all over the world call this Valentine's Day. And it's for that reason that we have chosen the topic to do with love. What is real love? Or what is real passion, right? And maybe we can talk about compassion also if we have a little time. I'll be speaking and I'll leave some period for your questions. So this person, Valentine's, I don't know if any of you know the origin of Valentine's, but there is a saint from Rome, and he was known as Saint Valentine. He was in Italy, that's where he was stationed. And the 3rd century AD, as far as I understand, could be BC, a long time ago. And the Roman Empire was still in power. They did not take very kindly to the growth of Christianity. Christianity was a threat to their civilization, because if Jesus Christ is to come into power, it means that they would lose their own hold on power. So unfortunately, this Valentine, he was executed. He was prematurely reincarnated for his faith. And he is known for being the saint for courtship. When people court together, a man and a woman, with the prospect of being married, they would oftentimes think and pray to Valentine. He was also known to be someone who helped the people with epilepsy. He's a patron saint for the epileptic people. And many people who were kept bees and produced honey at that time, they looked to Valentine. They were his favorite. So just like, say, today, let's go to an example of how saints can sometimes, they have like a trademark or they have a branding unofficially. Like Prahlad Maharaj, the 5-year-old boy, he was known for Smaranam. Out of the 9 processes of bhakti, Smaranam is one of them. And Smaranam means to remember, to always recall the pastimes of the Lord. And let's say in modern day context, amongst the Hare Krishnas, I think like Indradyumna Swami, he would be known for putting on festivals. Yes, that would be his trademark. What other examples can I think of when I go over the gamut of gurus and saints in our movement? Well, somebody like Anuttama, he does good work and he's known for his communication skills. So he specializes in this area. And going back to the 9 processes of devotional service, hearing, who specialized in that? His name was Parikshit, and chanting was Shukadev. And so on it goes. Ambarish Maharaj he was a great king. He wasn't a sadhu necessarily. He was a kshatriya, but he was a great devotee. He was known for submitting everything, surrendering completely. So in the Christian context, Saint Valentine was known for those few features. People who kept bees and made honey, they liked him. People had epilepsy, they adored him. And then there are those people who are in love or hoping to be in love. They give credit to Valentine, Saint Valentine. So what is love all about? I don't think I have to explain it. First of all, I'm a sannyasi and I'm an Aishtiki brahmachari. I actually never really fell in love with anybody. Although when I was in high school, occasionally I had a girlfriend, and that's about it. It didn't go very deep. Um, but all around me, like my parents, they loved each other. And sometimes they didn't like each other so much. That is kind of like the flip side. Prabhupada talks about Mahatma Gandhi and his wife. They had a disagreement in South Africa, and they had like a community, and everyone had to take their turn cleaning the latrine, the washroom. So Gandhi asked his wife to be on that list, and she says, "I'm not going to do that." So they had a disagreement. They actually had a very strong disagreement, and he got a little angry, and he went a little bit overboard. And she accepted, okay, I will do that. So they agreed to, let's say, work it out together. Prabhupada also had disagreements with his wife, and even his parents had disagreements, even though they were husband and wife. For instance, Prabhupada's mother wanted Prabhupada to go to England and become a barrister, like a lawyer. And Prabhupada's father said, "No, I don't want my son to be like that. I don't want him to go out and be spoiled and mix with some of the people there. They will become womanizers and they will be drinking." So that Prabhupada was a little child and he saw his parents disagreeing. So even though mother and father are supposed to love each other, sometimes they have differences. And I think that those of us who grew up with parents, we probably saw a little bit of both. They like each other and they don't like each other. Just like they have a saying, she loves me, she loves me not. She loves me, she loves me not. She loves me. Oh, okay, great. But now she doesn't love me. So love is usually quite external. And Krishna makes a statement in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 11. If you can't remember it, just remember 7-Eleven, like the store, the convenience store, 7-Eleven. And there Krishna says, I'm just going to open up to the book for that. He says, Balang Balavatam Chahum Kama Raga Vivarjitam Dharma Viruddha Bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatarshava. Krishna says, I'm the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas, referring to Arjuna. So the last phrase, Krishna says, I am this desire called kama, but it has to be a regulated kind of kama. It has to be not promiscuous, regulated. And then we can understand that this love, which is controlled and regulated, is closer to our relationship with God than people who are very loose, frivolous. Like in our modern day culture, people are very much encouraged to explore each other physically, isn't it? Everyone's encouraged when you're a teenager and people start very young, they encourage exploration. And I know that like when I was a child growing up in Canada, People would talk about it a little bit, but we didn't start as young as they do now. And most of the songs were about, like, I want to hold your hand, or, it was very simple, innocent, almost. But now, let's go back to when I was a child. I would watch sometimes old movies, and like the epitome of love is shown in Gone with the Wind, where Red Butler holds Scarlett O'Hara like this, and he looks down at her, and there's a big red sky in the background, and he gives her a kiss, and that is the most graphic it will get in the late 30s, 40s, and 50s. And then after he kissed her, then she slapped him. That's all that Hollywood ever did, was kiss and slap. Nowadays, it's more than kissing, and it's killing also with a knife and all kinds of guns and things like that. We have lost our innocence, And when I talk to my god brothers and god sisters about like what it was like even the devotees in the United States that grew up in, say, New York and Brooklyn, their parents didn't talk about divorce. And in most cases, they stayed together. They loved each other. And in my own case, my parents argued sometimes. But when all of us, me and my kids, my siblings, we moved out of the house and we went on with our lives. My mother had a diabetes and she lost one leg. And then my dad carried her around to go from one. He was showing real love. He was doing service to her. Then my mom had the second leg went very black because of the diabetes. And then she didn't live very long after that. So my father was into the service. He was in the spirit of, helping my mom. And I thought, wow, this is real love. When it's, you may not get an absolute return. So when I came to Krishna consciousness, I heard that Krishna was a loving God. Krishna is a philosopher. He speaks the Bhagavad Gita. He's also a slayer of wicked men and sometimes women, like in the case of Putana. He was an administrator. Yes, he was a fighter. As a child, he was a charming little baby, and everyone adored him so much for his looks, his wit, his intelligence, and his getting himself into trouble and mischief. Krishna was like the whorl of a lotus flower. The lotus flower is like this, and in the middle is the whorl. And when Krishna, in his loving relationships with his boyfriends, the cowherd boys, they would look after the calves and guard them and protect them. And then they would have lunch. Krishna would sit in one spot and all the boys would sit around him. And he was like the middle of the lotus, and all the boys, each one of the boys was like a petal to the lotus. So there was love exchange between Krishna and his boys, his gopas. And then Krishna also had loving relationships with the gopis. Now the gopis in most cases were a little older than him, but they still were fascinated by him. And in the night, they were known to have a rasa dance, the dance of love. But we should understand that that love was not like a material love. It's not a mundane love. Krishna was at a young age before puberty. So there wasn't this kind of thing about, sexual tendencies. It was a pure love. And so that's what we understand from that particular relationship, which is called conjugal love. or Madhurya. Then there's Vatsalya, which is his love for his parents, and his parents for him. And then there was Sakyam, love with his friends. And then there was master-servant relationship. Krishna oftentimes acted like the servant when he was driving the chariot of Arjuna. He was doing a service to his devotee. And then there's something we call neutral love, Sayuja Mukti, in that particular relationship, where one may be a tree in Vrindavan, or maybe a blade of grass which receives the mercy of Krishna's lotus feet trampling on the grass. Those 5 major rasas are there, and which means loving relations. But when we talk about love, we usually talk about 2 equals coming together, a partnership. And of course, a lot of people will look at Krishna with Radha, but Radha was not his official bride. Rukmini was, but not Radha. Nevertheless, Krishna's love for Radha and vice versa was very deep, and it was very strong. And we are not supposed to imitate these things. We are supposed to play it safe. And so therefore, we refer to 7-11 in terms of Krishna's love, or the way he explains love amongst the devotees, what humans are obliged to do in terms of loving relations. And a lot of people, they like love songs, but I've analyzed that the people who write love songs and who sing love songs, they're the worst examples of love. They're always moving around, like rabbits going to different holes. They're very poor examples of what true love is. And yet, that's the way it is. That's the way that's what makes the world go round. In chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord, Krishna, also talks about how love makes the world go round. So those who are basically atheistic, they do not have a clear understanding of true love. So I'm looking at 16:8, chapter 16, text 8. Krishna says about the demonic, they say that this world is unreal. It has no foundation. There is no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and it has no cause other than lust. I think Sigmund Freud was a philosopher, psychologist, who actually uses that as his premise. He believes that deep down inside, everybody just wants this kind of conjugal love, kama. To some extent, he's right. But deeper than physical love is divine love, love with God. Now, I meet people all the time, and devotees as well, and they express themselves to have a broken heart. And that is because the story is something like this. They had a love, they had a partner, but it broke up. And so their heart broken, their heart's cracked, And it's very hard to know what to do about something like that, to help somebody. When I was walking across Canada the first time in 1996, there was one guy from Winnipeg. He had a red sports car, and he pulled over and he said, I read about you in the newspaper, in the Winnipeg newspaper. And he said, I really like what you're doing. Is it possible that I could talk to you for a minute, if you don't mind not walking for a few seconds or minutes? I said, sure, no problem. So then he opened the door for me. So he sat in the red sports car, And then he told me what he wanted to talk about. And he said, you know, I've been going steady with my lady friend for 5 years. And just recently, she took off with my best friend. So I'm feeling depressed. Can we talk about that a little bit? And okay, I said, I'm happy to do that. So first of all, I said, well, you know, I empathize with you. I understand your feelings, but being a monk, maybe I can't go too deep with that love, that comprehension, that understanding. But I understand how important relationships are to people, and you are one example. I would say to you, listen, it's not the end of the world. You're going to live. And I told him that half of the population is female. So you will find another girlfriend. So don't worry. Okay. So I tried to say whatever I could to appease his pain, to get it out of him. And so then in the end, I said, well, ultimately, our love is with the Supreme, the Creator, the one who gave love in the first place. You know, you may have love, you may give love, but the person who originally gave love, gave this principle of romance, is God Himself. So the point is that He allows us to have some stimulation in this material world, to have some love, but it's always shortchanged. I explained to this young fellow, I said, it just doesn't last. Even if you are like Romeo and Juliet, somebody's Romeo and Juliet, you know, they died. they committed suicide because there was too much struggle with their families. They did not approve of their relationship. So they decided to give up their existence. And so it's kind of a tragedy and unhappy ending for the both of them. And so this is just one example. Even if you are very deeply in love with someone, death will finish it for you. And then what? You know? Some people will say, well, maybe I'll be a soulmate with that other person. We will die, I will die, that other individual will die, and we will be together as mates in the future. Okay, maybe, but maybe not. We do not know the destiny of the individual soul. It is not possible to document these things. It is almost very private, it's very secretive, and it's just it's the way it is. So the example is given in the Bhagavatam that like people come together in a relationship, just like plants and weeds in the ocean, they come together. And like here's one plant and another one is here. And the currents have them coming together. And they're like this now. But then in time, the currents will also separate them and they will never meet again. They will be gone. They're goodbye. So nothing is permanent in this world except for some fun and a lot of suffering. Yeah. So that's the way it is. And Hiranyakashipu, who is one of the greatest dictators of all times, he said it to his family when they were mourning or grieving over the death of his brother, Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakashipu, who survived, felt that I will tell you a few things, my family and friends, about life. It is like people coming together, they're traveling, and they meet in an inn or a hotel, and they have some exchange. But then the next morning, this person is flying off somewhere, that person is this example is given. People come in their travels and then they meet and they may not ever come together again. Yeah, it's like that. So our connections are quite depressing in that regard. Nothing is permanent. Nothing goes on for everything, forever. Nothing is for sure. The only thing that is for sure is two things. Number one, death. Everyone will die. And number two, taxes. Everyone will pay their taxes. Those are the two most certain things that exist in this world. But deep down, in the core of our heart, we do have love. We really do. And that is expressed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it goes like this. It's a nice shloka. Nitya Sidya Kavanaya Shravanali Chiti Kore Uday. Nitya Sidya Krishna Prema Sadya Kavanaya. Krishna Prema. Love of Krishna is in the core of the heart. And it always was there and always will be there. But that love gets covered over. Just like, say, for instance, if I take a candle and I light the candle and the little flame goes like this, and I set it down, and then I put a bushel or a box over it, the candle, which has a flame that you can see in the dark for, some maybe 1 kilometer away, now is covered over. As long as there's a little oxygen going in, the candle, the flame stays alive. So our love for God is very profound and it's deep, but we cover it over with all kinds of, like the three energies we were talking about before, Sattva-guna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna. We cover them over with our, thick layers of this. Therefore, the flame cannot be seen, or the love of God cannot be understood or appreciated. Yes. So how do we get to loving? I appreciate that there's the Saint Valentine and that he blessed couples, who are about to be married, who are courting. It's not that sexual activity has to be separated from spirituality. No, that's why I quoted that verse from 7:11. There is a connection between God and everything we do. But even killing, like Krishna is saying, he is sanctioning Arjuna, go and kill. If you do not kill, they will kill you. And after all, they represent, the Kauravas represent adharma, everything that is wrong. And so that's what we really want to kill. That's what we want to destroy. So even in killing, we can appreciate that there's a Krishna element there. There's a Krishna factor there. Just like there is in protecting someone. Everybody can appreciate that that is very heroic, that when you save someone who's being harmed, you protect someone, we'll all say that is a very godly practice. And, when it comes to this war, Kurukshetra war, some people have a problem with it and they say, why is God blessing a war? Well, Krishna does not bless differences. He does not bless conflict, but conflict comes in this world, whether we like it or not. And Krishna always stands for what is right, what is the dharmic thing to do. In fact, he wanted Yudhishthira, the oldest brother amongst the Pandavas, to be the king of the world. And why? Because he was so righteous. He was so proper in everything he did. And so therefore, we have to have some standards. And then we know what is right. because a lot of people are quite confused. They don't know what is right and what is wrong. That's another demonic trait expressed in chapter 16. So there is a lot of confusion. But because there's no standard based on divine principles, therefore people are very, very confused. And the main principle of what is what is right for me. It's all kind of self-centered. What makes me feel good is right. Okay, but what if the other person that you're having a disagreement with feels that what's right for me is what I see, you know? And people get very attached to their positions. There was one time when two philosophers, they were arguing, and one of them said, of the two weapons, the one person was taking the position, the knife is superior to the scissor. And then the other person, you know what a scissor like this, you know? The other person who was took the other position, the scissor is superior to the knife. So the person who believed that the knife is superior, he held on to his position. He said the knife penetrates more. You have a greater grip on it. So the knife is superior. It'll pierce more deeply. And then the other person was saying, yes, but with a scissor, you have two knives, you know, and which is better than one. So I'm holding on to my position, you know, that a scissor is better than a knife. So these guys started shoving each other and pushing each other, and, you know, and they both ended up in the water. They fell into the river and they were struggling to stay away. And one guy, he was saying, knife. He went like this and then he'd go under. Knife, you know. And then the other person who was just drowning, his hands were up like this and he's going like this. Scissor, it's scissors, scissors. They both drowned and they died in their conflict. So I find sometimes with devotees, we take philosophical positions and we get very attached to it and we don't listen to each other, the other person's side, what they have to say. In Krishna consciousness, we have to be good listeners. Yes, very good listeners. Anyways, love, as we pointed out, real deep love is with God. How do you demonstrate it? Because people say, well, I've seen pictures of Krishna, I don't quite feel it yet. I see how he's dressed sometimes very beautifully, but I still don't quite get it. Well, if you're in that position like many of us, then what I would say is that we should start to practice loving Krishna through his devotees, because Krishna is close to his devotees. The Bhagavatam states that God is, we say God is in our heart, right? But then God says, Bhagavan says, that my devotees are in my heart. They make up my heart. So Krishna is saying that don't cross my devotees. Don't get angry with my devotees. Don't hurt my devotees. Because if you do, you're giving me a heart attack, right? So I think that like we've got a little community shaping up here. You've all been coming together regularly, and it's very nice. But sometimes you disagree. You know, some person says we should do it this way, another person says it should be done that way. Okay, at one point you have to compromise. Okay, you have it your way this time, and then next time we have an argument, perhaps I'll get my way. Okay. And the frustration comes about when one person always gets their way. That is really difficult. Yeah. But I would say the greatest saint is the one who tries to avoid a war and just lets the other person let them be a spoiled brat. And you just carry on loving Krishna. You know, that's the most important thing in life, is to love the Lord. And we can do that, love him, by loving his devotee. Okay, what if there are no devotees around? Okay, how do you deal with that one? Well, okay, here's another way to look at it. Devotees are everywhere. That guy who's eating a hamburger, he's also a devotee. Deep down inside he is. Deep down he's got love. Prabhupada explains that even a dog, a mother dog loves her pup. And with undivided love, there is let's say, intimate love that she has for her offspring. And so that is what everybody seems to want to establish for themselves in this world, love. And some of you are grahastas, right? So you love your partner, and then after a while, you have a child, and you can't love your partner as much. A lot of attention goes to the child. So the point is that love is everywhere, but it's especially with that must, yeah. So
Sorry, Maharaj. Just want to ask Jamshid to turn off the microphone. Sorry to interrupt you. Please.
okay, somebody has to turn off their microphone. Okay, because someone in the background is showing love for their children. I know, I heard it too. So I think that people's approach to love is very immature in general. In Kali Yuga, people are not very expert at love. They're very expert at loving temporarily, but they do not have a handle on like a deeper love that when you do it simply, not just out of duty, but you do it because you feel better from giving. Everyone feels better when you give. And there's a lightness that occurs in your life as opposed to hoarding. Every time I do not, it's not about giving, but it's about taking. And the more you take, the more weight you have, the more of a wall you create around yourself. So I would challenge you, all of you devotees, that, I'm sure you're already doing that, get in the mood of giving, and you will feel a certain lightness and a certain brightness, and you'll just feel so much better about yourself. And that is the pattern that we're all supposed to take in our life, especially for the men. The men are supposed to not hold on to things at the end of their lives, You're supposed to really give it all up. Our ladies, this is not a criticism. They always need a little more protection, a little bit more of a fort. They tend to hold on to the children a lot longer to the very end. And it's totally natural for them, and they demonstrate love very well. For the men, it's a little different. Even if, like most of our devotees, they don't take sannyas, I've noticed that, or even vanapras, they don't take so much interest. But the men have a tendency to just, okay, yes, I don't need so many things. You go, you have it. They love to just give things. Am I right about that, Acharya? Is it true? Igor, yeah, I think it's very true, Yuri, that men have that tendency to gravitate towards sannyas, to kind of like leave this world with practically nothing. There are exceptions, but with the ladies, it's a little different. They want to hold on to everything, and that's fine. Let them have what they want. And because when they hold on to something, it's almost like Krishna, holding on to Krishna. Yeah, so love is very much misunderstood. And I personally get very hurt by seeing the way that love is handled in the material world. It's very misunderstood, misplaced, misused, and abused. And people have a long way to understanding real love. it comes to reason that when you live in a world where there's no emphasis towards spirituality, that people just deal with the physical, what feels good, with the touch. They don't realize that the touch is also very temporary. Sometimes we talk about ghosts. Ghosts are disembodied beings, and they want to enjoy, they want to channel their love through something, but they don't have a body to enjoy through. So they sometimes try to occupy someone else's body in which way they could channel their loving propensities, even though it's physical. So anyways, everything that we hear about Bhagavad Gita is about loving Krishna. Manmana bhavamad bhakto majajing mang namaskuru mam evaishasi satyam dehi rati jane priyosine. That's a verse, and it's about love. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in chapter 9, and then it's repeated again 9 chapters later in text 8, chapter 18, which is a summary of the whole Gita. Yeah, so love is ultimately with God, and we feel it here because it's coming from God. It's natural. It's not superficial. It's very, very real, but it is temporary. And a lot of people tend to get very carried away with their karma, and to the point where they forget about their spiritual life. So that is kind of sad. They get about the self, the Atma. So this is what it is all about. It's about, the Bhagavad Gita is about loving God. And in the Bible, they say, love the Lord with all their heart and all their mind and their soul. So Krishna says the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita 9 and 6 and 18. Just love me. And then Krishna reciprocates, I will love you. I'll take away all your misery. Mashucha, I will take away your stress. Sarvadharaman Parijaya, Mamekam Sharanam Varaja Antum Sarvapapi. Sarvapapa says, I'll take all the karma away. I'll just grab it, I'll take it away. So this is the idea. So I was going to leave some of the period for your questions. We've got like 10 minutes left. And so our topic was basically what is real love, and it has to be on the divine platform. And love can be demonstrated by being compassionate. When you put your passion to compassion, feeling for other people, paradukaduki, that means feeling a little sorrow because others are suffering. So we should feel that and then want to try to help them. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or comments? So now, you can put up your hand, or somebody can direct the questions if you like. If not, then we can continue to talk a little bit more if you want. Hare Krishna. Anyways, I love you guys. I love you all.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for sharing your thoughts to us. If someone has questions, please address your question to the Maharaj. We have a few minutes left, so please do. Does anyone have any questions so far?
There is a raised hand.
Okay, I have a question, Maharaj. So my question is, when can we again visit our temple? So when our temple could be open again?
We'll have to talk to the administrators. I think we should be able to get in. That's my feeling. We should have Sundays open at least. But I'm not the one to make the final decision. It's a group effort, so I'm sorry about that practicality. But for the time being, you just have to pretend that your apartment is your temple, and that Krishna is there in the prasadam that you ate and the words that he expresses through the Gita. So see your place as a mandir for the time being, and we'll open up sometime soon, I hope. I will cross my fingers for that.
So
Now,
you
when
don't.
we talk about love, the flip side is hate. And the reason why we're here in the world in the first place is because of love that is separate from Krishna. And that Ichadvisha Samudigna Dvandva Mohina Bharata. So that's saying that it's the desire that brings me to this mortal world. And that's also contempt that keeps me here. Contempt is like hatred. So it's a kind of a distorted love-hate. Is there any such thing as pure hate? In one sense, there is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we didn't like when people were talking about God in an impersonal way. He hated it. He actually hated it. Hanuman hated Ravana, said, "You bring that universal mother Sita, or I'll get up you." He was hating. He was angry. So this is just hate that's properly chanted. That's all. But hate is part of love, at least in the material world. In the spiritual world, there isn't such deep-rooted hate. There's only a little something going on there between the right wing and the left wing gopis. They love Krishna so much. They have their own way of loving him and demonstrating that love. So that's where they have differences. But other than that, hate is a component of the material world, and also selfish love. Selfless love is very hard to come by in this world. I was just looking at a story yesterday where a woman from Poland, she was a Jewish girl, she's probably passed away now, and she was in a group with women, and they were being ready to be put on the train for Auschwitz. And the mother told the daughter, she was just really young at the time, 13, "Now you go now. Just run away. You go now. And you might stay alive." And the girl didn't want to leave her mother. She was holding on to her mother's dress. And the mother forced her, "You go, you run, you escape now." So some of the Nazis saw this girl, said, "She's Jewish, she must be Jewish. She's running away like that." They said, "Can't you see she has light hair, blonde hair, she has blue eyes, she's Polish, she's not Jewish." So she was allowed to live, and she went for like 13 kilometers in a direction to where her relatives lived, and she survived. But the point is that the mom pushed her daughter away instead of her daughter probably dying in the arms of her mother. She wanted her daughter to have a chance to live. So that's real love. Incredible sacrifice that people go through, isn't it? And they do that all out of love. Yeah. Thank you. Most of you are, you're householders, and you have children, so you understand that love goes quite deep, and sometimes that love also hurts because your children oftentimes don't do what you want them to do. That hurts. And let me conclude by saying this, that when Ram and Sita were separated, Ravana forcefully took Sita away. And this very much hurt her and Ram in the feeling of separation. And so the example is given that the acharyas, the teachers, they say that this is what love is all about. There's a very nice, charming side to it, but there's also a very painful side to it that tags along with it. And so we see that demonstrated and the love between Ram and Sita, yeah, when they were separated. They went through so much pain and worrying about, will I ever see my lover again, etc. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your lecture, though. I mean, it was beautiful, beautifully worded. I just want to ask you about the type of love you were explaining us. I mean, the unconditional love, right? This is in essence, this is what you talked about. And I guess this is a type of love which doesn't have any ego, self-ego attached to it. Is there any way how we can actually foster it in our modern life, where actually everything is kind of teaching people that you have to protect yourself, you have to defend yourself, because you're kind of surrounded with enemies. Everybody wants to compete with you, everybody to take over you. What can we do about it?
Right. And then you have COVID on top of that. You're living in more fear. There's an enemy and I can't even see him. Yeah, so that's why Prabhupada has come to offer the alternative. The alternative, okay, loving exchanges between devotees. We come together weekly or whatever and show our love the best way we can. And when we are physically able to come together, then it becomes a little more meaningful. But because, as you say, people are quite cold with each other. They have this cold shoulder idea about each other. They treat each other like that. And they don't even. I struggle with it myself. And I say hi, good morning, how are you? And I'd say if I was, here's the benefit, because I wear my devotional clothes, people are a little bit, let's say, touched. They're touched. Oh, here's a monk and he's being nice, But if I was just a regular guy in regular clothes and I say, hello, good morning. And especially if I say to a woman, say, why, what do you want? What do you want from me? So in one sense, we don't have so much business talking to the opposite sex, but we can, within our own gender, we can say, hello, buddy, how are you doing? And just really, because it makes their life lighter, it makes the day lighter. And I think we have to put that into practice. Prabhupada would say, good morning, hello. And it wasn't always Hare Krishna. So his mood was, let's give love. Let's give love. Even if it's not the pure thing, even if it's not like a Ladu offered to Radha Gopinath, the deity. But he was trying to give love through just exchange, through communication. And I find it really works. My father, I learned that from him. My father was such a loving, kind person. And he just wanted to say hello to everybody, And it was contagious. It was contagious. So I think where we can do that, we will experience a closer encounter with Krishna when we do that with his parts and parcels. And but the alternative that I was speaking about, yes, that culture Prabhupada wanted. He wanted devotees to kind of like live close together. He wanted communities and villages, and he wanted us to exchange, barter, and exchange, and just kind of always keep an eye on each other, look out for each other. And in city life, it's a little hard to do that. It's a little hard, but you do the best you can. You do the best you can. One advantage of living in the city is that people aren't always breathing down your back, whereas when you're in the village, everyone's always looking out. They got the binoculars up. Oh, what's he? Oh, she's with him. Oh my God! I have to tell everybody, like cheap little village talk, So there's advantage to sometimes be in the city. You might see somebody, you may never see them again. Hello, how are you? And I, as a devotee, I feel I can do that very openly. I feel I can do that. I remember one time I was not having a good rest, and I was walking down the ravine, and there was one part of the ravine where all the gay people go. And I heard about that before. I kind of forgot about it. I walked in there. I was just not getting sleep. So I walked in there and I felt like saying, hello, how are you? But it's like 1:30 in the morning. And then I realized, oh, I understand these kind of people, they get the wrong idea. So I think we have to live by standards, and like I was saying, watch the genders, watch the people who might accept you the wrong way, but do indeed greet people, make their day, give them a warm greeting, and that makes a big difference. And I would say, to experience that love more, get on the phone with each other, communicate with each other as devotees, express your realization. And one other practical item that I would suggest is that write down, like do some journaling, write down every day about what you loved about the day. What did you do? What were the highlights? Was it an exchange with your boss? Was it exchange with your spouse? Or what is it your child or your dog did that was so delightful? And then, just whatever elements of love came your way, write it down. And then it puts an end to that day. And then the next day, you open up with a new day of love. I'm talking about some practical things that can be done. And I would also read a little Shastra every day, and about how Krishna loves his devotees.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. That was truly very practical.
Yes, we have to be practical because we are in this practical world. If I try to say things that are too lofty, too transcendental, then you cannot apply it. And then my words would have been wasted, and your question would have been wasted. Anybody else? Well,
yes, we have a question. Ilona, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maharaj, for a lecture. And I have a question: how we can grow, how we can increase our life, our love to the God?
How to increase our love for God? I think a lot of things must be preempted with prayer, because when we wake up in the morning, we are kind of weak. And if when we're showering and getting ourselves ready for the day, I think to take a little time for prayer. So we admit I'm weak, but Krishna, make me strong. And make me strong in what in particular? Make me strong in my dealings with the people around me. And when I develop my and evoke my strength in relationships with others, then Krishna becomes more pleased. We get closer to him. So to love God, you have to love his parts and parcels. They have this saying that, hey, if you want to love me, you have to love my dog first. Like across the street from the temple here, it's called Ramsden Park, and they have a dog park right there. And I've watched people, I see that they don't talk to each other until their two dogs meet. Or if the dog comes to them, and then you can talk to them. So Krishna's a little bit like that. We have to connect with his devotees, and then we can go to Krishna. It is not about going to God directly so much. It's more about getting close with his parts and parcels, his pets, his devotees. Yeah. So that will go a long way to cultivating the real love. Love Krishna through his world, through his people. Love Krishna through his prasadam. Love Krishna through his words, the Shastras. Love Krishna through the service and love Krishna through the difficult times. You're having some difficulty, and all it is Krishna's communicating with you. That's all. And when we have difficulty, we become more dependent on him. That brings us closer to God. Appreciating what he's already naturally giving to you. But we don't always recognize that. We don't see it. Like you look out the window now, and there's a blue sky, and I see in my window, I see an angel. I see an angel out of clouds. And I see that the air is very clear. And so to me, this is Krishna manifesting himself to me. So look at your chapter 7. Look at 7, where Krishna says, I'm the strength of the strong. Also look at chapter 10, which is about the opulence of the Absolute. There, Krishna identifies with many things of this world. He says, I am the splendor, I'm the strength of the strong. I am the generating seed amongst all living beings. I am of purifiers, I am the wind. That's chapter 10. And then you have chapter 11, which talks about Krishna's universal form. And first of all, what Arjuna is seeing is like awesome. Oh, wow, what a big world it is out there. Then Krishna manifests his horrific side. And even when God comes in the shape of horror, then it's also something that we should see as a reflection of Krishna. So 7, 10, and 11. There are various ways in which we can see God. God is hidden, but we can see him through different images. That will help. Apart from seeing Krishna as the deity in the picture, try to see Krishna in the trees, in the fresh air. Some of our devotees are living in Alberta, and they've got 46 below weather. Even in the cold, we say, Krishna, you are the cold. Doesn't mean you have to be in it. It's keeping you inside. Krishna, thank you. I don't want to see you right now. You're too cold. But thank you for giving me a place where I can stay away from the cold. Hare Krishna. Sartak, you had also a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It was not a question. I just wanted to quote one of the things that His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj had mentioned. He says, to love means to serve, and to serve means to please. So when you are narrating your parents' story, I could kind of relate to that. I could resonate to that particular statement. And thank you for the practical tips that you just gave as to how we can express love in our day-to-day dealings with everybody.
Yes, that's right. You don't have to necessarily wait until the temple opens. You can see the whole world as a temple, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
What is
Thank
it?
you, Maharaj.
Placebo, is that what it is? Thank you.
Thank you
Yep,
so
that
much.
would be appropriate.
Thank you
Hare
very much.
Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And I'll just